And Brandon, let's close it out. Before we do, throwing out the love to our Twitch fam. Twitch fam out there, Demon King, Dream Matter, really chatting with us in the chat during this podcast. If you're on YouTube, you can watch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/mostvaledpodcast. But let's get in the last section, 21 through 32. The Eagles at 21. Demon King, you've waited this entire time. I'm sorry, they're going with a wide receiver, not a cornerback. T. Higgins out of Clemson. Then the Bills go with Laviska Shenault Jr., wide receiver out of Colorado. Those two picks did not change from my 2.0. Then Grant Delpit goes 23 to the Patriots, safety at LSU. He kind of fell in this one. Saints, they make the same pick they did in my 2.0. They're going Henry Ruggs the third, I believe, wide receiver from Alabama. Vikings go cornerback. They're going to go with C.J. Henderson, the cornerback from Florida. Dolphins, with their last pick, go Curtis Weaver, edge rusher from Boise State. Then at 27, Seahawks, they're going to stay with Raekwon Davis, defensive tackle, out of Alabama. The Ravens, who were... Ooh, I got the hiccups this time. I got a little bit of the hiccups going on. I think it's because I need water. I feel like my throat needs some water, but here's the problem with this room. The camera is blocking the door, so it's better just to power right through this segment and get water after, because water's for the weak, right? Then the Ravens, they were at 32 in our last mock, but now they're at 28 because they lost in the AFC divisional round. They take Kenneth Murray, linebacker from Oklahoma, to try to replace C.J. Mosley. Then the Titans go Trevon Diggs, younger brother of Stephon Diggs, cornerback from Alabama. The Packers, they're going to make the same pick. They go Justin Jefferson, wide receiver LSU. 49ers, although I didn't want them to make this pick, I couldn't find a better one. They'll make the same pick. Jalen Reagor, wide receiver TCU. And then the Chiefs round things out with J.K. Dobbins, the running back from Ohio State. First and only running back to go in my first round. First team I want to talk about is the Titans. So they got Ryan Tannehill. They've got Derrick Henry. Both of those guys need to be re-signed this offseason. I believe Ryan Tannehill will be re-signed for sure. My question for you, is there even the slightest possibility that Derrick Henry gets a bigger contract from another team, gets swayed to another team, and the Titans then feel like they have to draft a running back with this 29th pick? Is there any chance Derrick Henry leaves the Titans?
If somehow their owner loses his mind, no, there's no chance.
Every place I've looked, they're like, no way Tannehill is walking, and no way they're gonna let Derrick Henry walk. And I'm like, Tannehill maybe, they'll probably get that deal done, but like Derrick Henry, if another team walks up and says, here's a big fat stack of cash, is there anything keeping Derrick Henry in Tennessee? Like, besides having a good year?
The fact that they just went back to the AFC championship game. Yeah, I mean, that would do it for me. Mm-hmm. That would do it for me, paired with my good year that, you know that you're going to get paid. But if somehow Tennessee says, you know what, we just don't think you're worth that money. Mm-hmm. Yeah, then I'm bolting out of there. Yeah. For sure, but I don't think that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Tennessee would be literally nuts.
And I'm trying to think who would even be in the market for Derrick Henry. I say that, but there's going to be there'd be teams that would be like, we'll pay for Derrick Henry.
Ton of teams.
Mm-hmm. Like ESPN has an article here that
the Falcons could be in the market for Derrick Henry.
True. Would you say I would almost say the Bills replace Frank Gore with Derrick Henry? You would have to replace Frank Gore because I don't think you can go Gore.
But the Bills, no, I don't think so because they have Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary can definitely be the guy. I don't think that the Bills would need one. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. Anyone else that you can think of? I'm trying to think. I mean, there's definitely teams. What about the Eagles?
I will say this. There was a rumor, I heard this from Demon King, when we were doing a watch-along in the Discord channel, that there was a possibility that the Cardinals could be getting rid of David Johnson.
Yeah.
that
Most likely
if
they
they
will.
get rid of David Johnson, yes, I know they're doing that to keep Kenyon Drake, but I'm sorry. If the Cardinals have the opportunity to get Derrick Henry, I would take Derrick Henry in a heartbeat. I don't care if I got Kenyon Drake, and I don't care how good Kenyon Drake did last year. I would pay up for him.
I know we're having this discussion because it's just fun to talk about.
Yeah.
But I don't think Derrick Henry's going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think
ESPN even has an article of like, here's the re-signing Derrick Henry has more pros than it has cons.
Yeah.
For the Titans. Like, the only other team, like the Buccaneers, could use a running back. You've got, let's see, Jets have Le'Veon right now. Dolphins aren't, like, he wouldn't want to sign with the Dolphins because they're not going to go anywhere. Yeah, I'm trying to think. The only other team I could think of is if the Rams trade Todd Gurley and then are like, okay, Derrick Henry, we'll sign you to come over here. Like, that's it. I don't see many other teams that are like, yes, this is Derrick Henry can be our main back.
Moving on to another team. You mentioned the Rams. They're not in the first round, so we haven't talked about them.
Yep.
Todd Gurley, if they trade him, who would be the best suitor for Todd Gurley, and who would want to be the one to go and trade for him? Because it really seems like the Rams are in a spot where they're really seriously considering moving on from him.
Do you know what the price would probably be for Todd Gurley? Like, if you're I'll ask this. If you're the Rams, what would you be asking for Todd Gurley? Because I have a team in mind, but it depends on what I would have to give up.
Well, the Rams, most likely, they're probably looking for a first-round pick because they've been out of the first round. They're out of the first round for now, what, this year, next year, the year after maybe, I don't know. But they're probably looking for a first-round pick, a second-round pick, something like that, couple of those. But it's going to be hard for them to necessarily ask for that because teams have seen Todd Gurley's production dip down, and they're not quite sure, is his knee fully healthy? And then the way that the Rams used him this past year, one would say, no, maybe it's not. But then they started to use him more at the end of the season, and he seemed fine. So I think that's what the Rams would probably ask for. Would they get it? I'd be surprised, but that's what I would think.
So you're right. This year, the Rams have this. They've got their second, their third, their fourth. They have 2/5. Wait, do they? Yes, I think they have 2/5, 1/5. They have a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh. They don't have their first next year. That was in the Jalen Ramsey trade. So their next first rounder is 2022. The reason why I ask is a team that I think of is the Chargers. And the reason why I say that is if that's the case, I can just trade for Todd Gurley. I don't have to worry about Austin Eckler. Don't have to worry about Melvin Gordon. That's why I ask what the price is, because I don't know if I'd want to give up the 6th overall pick for Todd Gurley. I would rather give up futures for Todd Gurley, like next year's first and the year after, and keep my 6th overall pick. But I don't know if the Rams would be like, no, we want this year's and next year's. If that's the case, if I'm the Chargers, I say, well, get out of here. That's not even part of the deal. But like I look at it and it's like, you just look at, let's run down the teams really quickly, running back wise, because this plays into Derrick Henry as well as Todd Gurley. The Bills have Frank Gore and Devlin. Like the Bills I saw in one, I think it was Todd McShay's mock draft where they took DeAndre Swift. I'm like, why? They've got Singletary. Like, Singletary's their back. He's who they want to be their main back. I don't think they trade for one. The Dolphins don't because they're not trying to trade assets away. They're trying to build up a team.
Texans.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, no, you're right. Because, like, the Patriots wouldn't. The Jets wouldn't. I don't see anyone from the NFC East, the North, either Norths. It would probably be the Texans, the Buccaneers, or the Chargers. Yeah, or the Broncos, or with the Broncos? Because I know they got Philip Question, would you rather have Lindsey and Royce Freeman or Todd Gurley? I'd rather have Todd Gurley than Lindsey and Freeman. Because like Lindsey and Freeman are good, but are they better than what Todd Gurley was?
Yeah, probably Todd Gurley.
And it's the question of what Gurley am I getting? Am I getting the Gurley that was Gurley before the yips or after the yips?
Did you mention the Redskins?
I did not.
The Redskins could be another team. I had mentioned them already, but the Falcons. I mean, there are a lot of teams who could be in the market
it depends
for
on
Derrick
what
Henry
the price is going to be
or
for
Todd Gurley.
Yeah, it depends on what's going to be the price for Gurley, though. What am I going to have to give up for?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because Derrick Henry, we'll see if he even hits free agency.
He won't.
Because there's a chance he just gets re-signed. There's also the chance that he hits free agency and re-signs. Demon King says Gurley got a huge contract.
He does. He does.
He said, for him, he said, Todd Gurley is worth a second and a third, so not even a first. And he says, the Bears, and he says, Philip Lindsay is overrated. So that coming from the Twitch chat, that coming from Demon King. The other team, one of the other teams I wanted to mention, there were two. One of them being the Chiefs. They're now at 32. I have them going J.K. Dobbins, but I'm going to ask this again. Now that we know who is this 32nd overall pick, I want your prediction, Chief fan. Do the Chiefs make this pick, or do they trade out of the first round and somebody trades in to take a quarterback or somebody to get that 50-year option?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, actually, them taking this pick, because we saw, obviously, what Damian Williams can do. But
I love J.K. Dobbins, too. I'm like in love with J.K. Dobbins, what he can do on the football field.
But the Chiefs need depth. They need some more depth at running back. LaShawn McCoy's probably done with them, most likely.
Yeah.
Unless they bring him back on a one-year flyer. But I don't necessarily. If it's between that or drafting rookie J.K. Dobbins, they're drafting rookie J.K. Dobbins. I like it a lot because, as we've seen from the Chiefs too, they will go with a number of running backs. I mean, we saw that when it was Kareem Hunt and, somebody, I mean, I know a lot of it was Hunt, but they would switch off and they would do that. And
Which, funny thing about Kareem Hunt that I just want to throw out there, because Dave and I were talking about it, his one bad action of kicking that girl cost him a Super Bowl.
Well, that'll teach you.
And that's a life lesson for everyone. One mistake. He makes one mistake, terrible mistake, one mistake, could have had a Super Bowl ring. He doesn't do that. He probably has a Super Bowl ring right now.
I know.
So just kind of food for thought.
I know. It's crazy.
On that one.
But I like where you have this right here. I really like J.K. Dobbins to the Chiefs. That would be outstanding.
And then the other one is just, for me, the Eagles. Because Demon King in Twitch chat is an Eagle fan. And earlier in the podcast, he mentioned, he kind of Nostradamus it, of like, I can't wait to see the Eagles taking a wide receiver when they should be taking a cornerback. And I know Demon King in Twitch chat is going to tell us his thought on his Eagles and why they should take a cornerback over a wide receiver. But here's my thoughts before I get your thoughts on this, where yes, technically DB should be number one. Ronald Darby, Rodney McLeod, Jalen Mills, they're all headed for free agency. That's three big guys that are headed for free agency. And you look at what's available at 21 on my chart, you could go C.J. Henderson, you could go Trevon Diggs. There's also, outside of that, you've got Damon Arnett from Ohio State, Jeff Gladney from TCU, Bryce Hall, Virginia, Noah Igbinoghene.
Yeah, it sounds like you got that right.
from Auburn. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Like, I just want to call him Noah Mouthpuke from Auburn, because saying that last name is horrible. there's cornerbacks out there. Probably C.J. Henderson would be the pick if they went ahead and took a cornerback. But I'm sorry. Maybe it's because I had both of the Eagle wide receivers in fantasy this year. And it's like, without those two out on the field, the offense could literally do nothing. Nothing at all. And I will never forget, and this is a little bit stuck in my craw, it was, week 4 or 5, Brandon? Week 3, I had both Jeffrey and Jackson in my starting lineup. I needed 2 points to win the game. 2. And I remember texting you saying, well, unless they both die tonight, I should be pretty good. And guess what they both did that night? They both died. They died. They got 0 points. I lost by 1.5. I was furious because I was all cocky coming in. Like, I was like,
yes, you were.
I'm like, I should be fine. Unless they die on the field, I should be okay.
I remember saying that to my dad. And him,
because he's in the league too,
literally laughing out loud so hard.
Did you tell him before the game or after the game?
Before, okay. And he looked over and he goes, "Wait, doesn't Ricky have both those guys?" And I go, "Yeah. Remember, if they die, unless they die, he's gonna win." And my dad's like, "Oh my gosh!" And they both get injured, and he gets no points. It was an incredible story.
And Demon King says, let's see, because Ronald Darby is awful.
Yeah, a lot of people believe that.
That's why he's hitting free agency. And he says, Jalen Mills shouldn't even be in the NFL. Bum. If a receiver burns Mills, he'll grab him, and pretty much every time it'll be called for holding. So I'll ask you, am I right? Should the Eagles take a T. Higgins and a wide receiver?
Excuse me, thanks.
Or should I have probably had them go with a cornerback? The
Eagles need to take all of the wide receivers that they possibly can. Can we get 2 with this pick? Mm-hmm. That's what they should be asking. They need wide receivers. They need help in that department because Jeffrey's, I feel like, getting a little older, and Deshaun Jackson every single year, it's like, wow, we'll have a big blow-up game where people are like, whoa, remember Deshaun Jackson's really good, and then he'll be hurt for 7 games.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, yep, that's Deshaun Jackson. So the Eagles need some new blood in there at receiver, some guys who are really good, who are dependable, go and make some big plays, and who play the whole season.
And also, the one thing that I try to do with my mock drafts that I don't think everyone tries to do is, because one of my last mock drafts is I sit down, and I don't know why I do this to myself every year, because doing it is just fucking madness. But I come up with a full 7-round mock draft. Like, I have a spreadsheet. I put every freaking pick on there. And then I will do a mock draft of every round. And it gets so confusing when I get to like round 4 and I have to control find, or on my Mac command find. And then I find all the teams. It's like, so wait, they took this position here, but what they can do. And then I backtrack and I go, oh, fuck, they could. No, this guy, if this guy's available here, no, make this pick here. And then it changes 5 picks in that round. And it's like, no, well, that's got to change these picks, because then this team would, oh, shit, that guy's not even there. Fucking control Z, just delete all of it. I don't know why I do it to myself.
It's commitment, Brandon. Man. It's commitment. You do it for the fans, right?
Well, there's that, and also it's one of those things where it's like the things that drive us mad we secretly love to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like dating that crazy girl where you're like, Ricky, why are you dating that crazy girl? She's like, you know what? I love it. I can't. My kind of crazy. You know what I'm talking about? The NFL 7-round mock draft is my kind of crazy. That's what I'm trying to say. But my point being, even though I'm doing a first round, just a first round, I try to think, what could they get later on? And the question becomes, and this will be, I'll think about this more and more as I get to the 7th rounder, 21, 53. Value at each one. Which is going to have better value? Could I get a pass on cornerback, still get a good value at 53? Or will I have to take cornerback at 21 because I can get a better value at wide receiver at 53 than I could cornerback? Like, that's something the Eagles are going to have to think about is that 53rd pick, what's going to be the better value, cornerback or wide receiver? And I think that will play into what they do with their first-round pick. As Demon King says, well, we started playing better halfway through the year because Ertz, Dallas, and Miles Sanders, and Rodney McLeod is a free safety playing corner.
So I wanna ask him.
Okay.
Hopefully he'll be able to answer. Do you think that Miles Sanders ends up being the guy? I mean, I know Jordan Howard was there and everything like that, but is Miles Sanders the guy, or are they going to draft somebody else who ends up being the 1-2 punch again and stuff like that, or is it going to be Sanders and that Scott guy, Boston Scott or something like that they had come in?
Boston Scott, baby.
And I mean, because Miles Sanders really seemed to shoulder the load towards the end of the season and do a really good job with it. I'd love to have a take from an Eagles fan.
And while we wait for that, because we're a little delayed, so his response will come in a little bit. Just to clear it up, they do have Miles Sanders, Corey Clement, Boston Scott, and Elijah Holyfield are their running backs right now, because obviously Jordan Howard, free agent. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't re-sign Jordan Howard. I would even be surprised if they drafted a running back. Maybe that's just me. Damon King said the Eagles have 20 free agents. 2 of them are retiring, maybe 3 if Jason Peters retires. We need help. And he says Miles Sanders is our guy, and when they need a bigger punch, they'll put in Boston Scott. Corey Clement is also a free agent. Our lads doesn't have that updated, so that's weird. That's on them. The only one they have in red is Jordan Howard. So I guess, you're right. Boston Scott and Sanders. He's saying Sanders is the guy, but Boston Scott they put in there when they need a bigger punch.
But I find that interesting only because they were going with Jordan Howard for most of the year until he was out for the last, what felt like 6 games or whatever that was. And they were going with him for most of the time, and then they'd go with him for the goal line. But Miles Sanders clearly showed that he can still do all of that.
So the reason why our lads doesn't have Clement in red is because he's an RFA. He's a restricted free agent, not an unrestricted free agent. I would just say that's because, like, if you have Jordan Howard, you're not gonna bench Jordan Howard.
You could.
You could, but they weren't.
No, they weren't.
I didn't think they would.
No, they weren't. And the Eagles, I just think that when you look at that pick, I feel like there were a lot of things that they could have been doing more offensively and a lot more help that Carson Wentz could have been getting.
Yeah.
That's where I really think that, because at the end of the season, when you look at, what was a downfall for the Eagles, there weren't enough weapons. I mean, yes, the defense could have been better. I think most teams look at it and go, man, that defense could have been better. Most teams do. But it was the offense. And even look at the Patriots. What was a big downfall for them? Their defense was really good all season long.
Yeah.
Tom Brady didn't have enough people to give it to.
You know what blows my mind? So on Superfans, we did the topic of, Dave and I talked about that prediction from The Athletic, and we asked, should the Bears trade for Nick Foles? How many people on that video, he should go back to Philly. He should play for Philly. He fits so well in Philly. And I'm sitting there going, you do realize they have Carson Wentz, right? Like, they got Carson Wentz. The only reason they had Nick Foles play is because Carson Wentz got injured.
Yeah.
But it's like Carson Wentz is your guy. It's not like you're saying, oh, we need a new quarterback. Let's go get Nick Foles. It blows my mind that people are like, he should get traded back to Philly. First off, he doesn't have any say where he gets traded. They just say, hey, Nick, they call you into the office. Then they say, sit in the chair. I want to have a chat with you. The best was, wasn't it Corey Coleman, where they're like, sit down, I want to talk to you. Now you can tell me right now. Like, no, I don't want to sit down. I know what's coming. Demon King says, let's see, the Eagles did bench Jordan Howard. He was fully active for the last few games. They just trusted Miles Sanders in Boston. He also says, fuck Nick Foles. Thanks for the Super Bowl, but Carson Wentz is much better than Nick Foles.
He was not fully active for the last couple of games. He was hurt still, so I will disagree with him on that one. He was hurt. They were holding him out. He was not cleared. He was not cleared to participate. So gotcha. But
before we end this, though, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Look at our OBS client on the computer. Do you see the running clock at the very bottom?
I see that we are really low on battery.
Yes, so that's going to die soon. That's why I will end this.
I don't know. What you want me to look at?
So at the bottom of the program, you don't have to click anything.
I don't know what I'm supposed
do you see the running clock? Like it's
KBS?
Yes.
Yeah.
In that line, there's a timestamp that tells you like how long we've been recording for. Do you see it? It should be over to the left.
The one that says live?
Yes.
2:26.
Oh, man. We still got to go for 40 minutes, Brandon. We got to make this a 3-hour podcast.
Hell no.
I'm joking.
Hell no.
I want to thank all of you who were watching us on Twitch, Dream Matter and Demon King, for chatting with us in the chat during this. This is what I love about Twitch, that we can do a podcast and we can get live. They can bring, like, the end of this podcast was basically us talking to an Eagles fan. Like, we've never been able to do this before. Usually it's we talk to each other about the team, and then people call us idiots for it. Like, you don't know nothing about this team.
Which we really do appreciate. We love being called idiots.
I'll be honest, I am an idiot half the time. But it's nice to actually get that actual connection. So right now I got to thank Zenky Bear, Gus, Commander Root right now in the chat. Some of you not talking. Demon King.
Yeah, why are you not talking? We want you to talk.
I don't know.
I want you to talk.
I'm a Twitch guy where I'll just watch. And like I don't want to chat, but like
I want your opinion. I want your opinion.
But I watch some channels where the chat's going so fast that it's like they're not even going to see my comment if I say anything.
Yeah.
But thank you for Demon King and Dream Matter for talking with us. I apologize for the YouTube people. That blinking battery is going to be annoying, but I'm not going to change it for just the end of the podcast. So thank you guys for watching on Twitch. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Also, Brandon, let's thank our patrons. So go ahead and put up our
I'd be happy to.
screen so we can thank our patrons. If you want to be a Patreon or a patron, go to patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. That is where you can go be a patron. And I got to apologize to Tim again. His name will be on there. Also, remember Rob Vick, who was talking to us during Fully Loaded?
Yeah.
He said that when him and his wife get back from the Dominican Republic, he's going to be looking to be a $10 patron.
Outstanding.
So maybe we'll have Rob Vick on a Fully Loaded podcast in the future. So our Patreon family looks like it is growing each and every day. But let's close out the podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Brandon and I will be back. Special announcement next week. We will not be back for Fully Loaded. Brandon didn't tell me why, but he is busy. I'm sure he's got a really good reason that he did not tell me.
Blackhawks game with my dad for his birthday.
I would say that's a pretty good reason. But we will be back the 25th we agreed on?
Yeah.
So we'll be back the 25th, and then we will go bi-weekly from there, and we'll reset ourselves on the 25th. So I want to thank you guys for watching on Twitch. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. And as always, have a good day, everybody.